Hey everybody, and welcome to Conversations from the Cottage. I'm Dean Phillips, your 3rd District candidate for Congress, and I'm joined today by Congresswoman Cheri Bustos from Illinois' 17th District. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So glad you're here today.
I'm glad I'm here today.
95 degrees and steaming in Minnesota.
I love it. I love heat.
So you're in your 3rd term right now. Tell me about your decision to run for Congress when you first made it 3 terms ago.
You know, it had a lot to do with health care and the Tea Party. A guy had been elected in 2010 in our congressional district who ran on this Tea Party wave of wanting to get rid of health care for people. You remember the old, repeal Obamacare and all of that. Literally on the day that he was elected in 2010, my brother, I only had one brother, was on his deathbed. And within a week of that, passed away. And he had a good job, worked for a university, had what we thought was good insurance, but they wouldn't pay for the treatment that his doctor said he needed to stay alive. So we as a family all pitched in, and his friends pitched in, literally just to pay for what he needed to stay alive. And so when you've got this guy who was elected to Congress saying that people shouldn't have access to affordable health care, I had a problem with that. So it was a matter of about a half a year later, I thought I'm going to run to replace this guy. I was on the 2012 ballot initially to run against him. I defeated him. He ran against me a couple years later. I defeated him again, and now I'm in my 3rd term, won a 3rd term, and running for my 4th term.
You're here. And tell me about your experience in Congress. I mean, of course, we know its reputation, but tell us the good that happens, and also tell us the state of affairs.
Yeah, I think what's not covered is that there are some really bright elements of bipartisanship. And you and I both love sports, and I'll just give you one example that I think would be applicable to Minnesota as well. But I play on the Congressional Women's Softball team.
What position?
I'm the shortstop, and I bat either 3rd or 4th. So I'll let you determine whether I have some athletic ability. We don't have a whole lot of athletic ability.
The answer is yes, she does.
But on our team, we have Democrats and Republicans. We have senators and House members. It's very different from how the men's baseball team is set up. How they have it set up is it's Democrats against Republicans. Our opponent for our one game that we play for charity is the Women's Washington Press Corps.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So you build relationships when you get up and you're practicing. It starts out, the weather's pretty cold. We get there at 7 in the morning. We are in our rawest form. You know, we wear our sweatsuits. We barely comb our hair and have no makeup on. And but you build these relationships. You find out about their families, their spouses, their what they do for fun, and you build a relationship on a deeper level, and that leads to what their interests are legislatively. And the one example I'll give you is I worked on some legislation with ethanol. You and I were talking about ethanol earlier with a member of Congress from South Dakota, Republican. She played out in the outfield. And I wanted to make sure that we had bipartisan support for fighting for the renewable fuel standards and making sure that reflected well on our family farmers. And so she and I worked together legislatively, and we had some accomplishments. But that relationship was a result of getting to know her on a personal level. There are a lot of little examples like that, but we need more, and we need more people elected to Congress who understand the importance of working together. And it's really, if I may say, the reason I wanted to come here today to be with you is I know that that's your attitude as well. We've got to figure out how to make Washington more functional.
Thank you. And on that subject, I'm in the business right now of inspiring conversations. I want people to talk again. And part of that is recognizing how differently a lot of people in this country live from one another. There's a rural and urban divide, which you know well. So tell us a little about your district, which is much more rural than the 3rd District here, and what's on people's minds, and what should everybody who might be watching this know about the struggles that so many are facing in this country.
So I represent the northwestern region of the state of Illinois. My western border of the district I serve is the Mississippi River. The northern border is the Wisconsin state line. And so it's 7,000 square miles, so very big, starts in central Illinois, and like I said, literally covers the entire northwestern portion of the state. 60% of the towns that I represent have 1,000 people or fewer.
60% of the towns, wow.
85% of the towns I represent have 5,000 people or fewer. So it is mostly rural. Donald Trump won my congressional district, and there's only 12 congressional districts in all of Congress where a Democrat is serving in a district that Donald Trump represented. So when I do a couple things where I get to know people at a deeper level. One is I call it Supermarket Saturday, where I just walk the aisles with no agenda other than for me to introduce myself, and I'll say, I'm Cheri Bustos.
Nice to meet you, Congresswoman.
I serve this region in Congress, and I just want to know what's on your mind. I'll be flying out to Washington on Monday, and what do you want me to fight for?
What do you hear? What are the most common?
You know, it all starts with these economic issues, the things that people talk about around their kitchen table when they get off of work. And the fact that in my congressional district, a lot of jobs were sent over to China or sent to Mexico, and people, it might be a dozen years later, are making half what they did when they had those good union jobs. And it's that and stories about, they've got a pickup truck that's, 10, 12 years old, and it's on its last wheel, and, they can't afford to buy a new one. Or we met a guy earlier today, you and I did, who's from Wisconsin Dells. People from my area, that's where they, in the past, would take their kids for their 1 week off in the summer, and they can't afford to do that anymore. So it's all, people wanting a better life, and how can we as members of Congress not, have all the answers, but make sure that we're not an impediment to their success.
And let's talk about healthcare for a minute, because it transcends parties and class and incomes, and it's on everybody's mind. What are people in your district talking about when it comes to healthcare?
There's real concern with this vote that was taken to really undo the Affordable Care Act. Now, I wasn't in Congress when the Affordable Care Act passed. It was not a perfect bill, but I was working in healthcare. That was my career for 10 years before I went to Congress. And I worked in healthcare before, during, and after the Affordable Care Act passed. And I know that before it passed, we were on an unsustainable path. The rates that people were paying for their health insurance were going up by double digits every single year. We had 50 million uninsured Americans. And so we had to do something. After the Affordable Care Act passed, there were a lot of glitches, and we know that, and we know there's a lot that we could do to improve that. But at the same time, 22 million more Americans became insured until this last vote earlier this year. So there's real concern, especially from people who have pre-existing conditions. I hear all the time from people who say, my mom had a heart attack. We're concerned about what's going to happen to her rates. My dad had cancer. We're concerned about what's going to happen if we're going to be able to keep our care. It's just all things like that. And I would say it is one of the toughest issues that we need to tackle. And under the current makeup of Congress, I can tell you it will just be a continual chipping away at people's health insurance rights. And I think that's the wrong direction to take.
And I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need you to help us fight this.
I'm working hard
because
to do
it is a real fight. We have a real fight on our hands.
But one of the great epiphanies so far for me is recognizing that when you afford people the chance to be heard, and start at the outcomes that we all share, that most Americans want, and work our way backwards, there's so much more to be learned. And I recognize there are bridges to be built, with more Republican perspectives and thinking and Democratic values, if you will. And we can achieve it. But to your point, I say to some that I don't think we have a hardware problem in Congress. We might have a software problem. It's how we populate it, with people who are there for the right reasons and to accomplish good on behalf of their constituents. And one reason I'm running, as you might know, is the money in politics, which is why there's a little poster behind you called the Minnesota Way. And I believe that the money in politics has created too many members of Congress who look out for the interests of those who finance their campaigns and the organizations and lobbyists that do so, and want to try to bring a different principled approach to campaigning. So I've challenged Eric Paulson, against whom I'm running, to do it in the Minnesota way, which would try to forego outside spending, eliminate PAC money in this district, and guarantee that you show up in public, which he hasn't done for 7 years, although he's hosting a couple town halls tomorrow. And I want to inspire a generation of candidates and electeds who might look at doing this differently, so we can all go to Congress looking out just for the principles of the people that we represent. And that's my hope, because I look at issues like healthcare, and I think that is something we should be able to accomplish, except for some vested interests that love the status quo, because it's quite profitable. So if we can remove that influence, I'm hopeful that we can accomplish something. I'd sure love to be part of it.
You know, I think an example that ties into what you just said is the fact that the Trump administration just rolled out their proposal to bring down the cost of prescription drugs. Yeah. The number one way that we can address that is to be able to negotiate the price of drugs. And yet that is not part of the proposal.
When you spend $250 million a year trying to prevent it, it works. That's the problem.
Exactly. So I think what you're trying to do is exactly the approach that we need long term. We've got to get money out of politics. It is distasteful. We live in this world where money is buying influence in those final decisions that are being made, and that is exactly the opposite of what we should be doing. There's a reason why when you're running that we choose not to be called politicians, yet we choose to be called public servants, because if you take this job back to its core level, it's called the people's house, right? The House of Representatives is the people's house. We represent people. And money in politics has gotten in the way of that. I very much admire what you're doing. Are there any other aspects of the Minnesota way that you can share with me that?
Well, there are more aspects. And the reputation of running for office is one that many find distasteful. I'm trying to show people it can be fun and collegial and actually engaging and hopeful. But as you know better than I, having been through this 3 times, there are a lot of aspects that are really distasteful. Trackers, for example. I want to expose the truth. I think more of this country should be aware of how this industry, and it is an industry, politics, how it works.
Well, we need more than one voice saying that, like tracking the money in politics, how distasteful it is, and get back to the basics of being public servants again. And every single vote that we take is for the good of the people back home, which means it's for the good of the country.
Hear, hear. So I'm so glad you came to town.
I'm glad to be here.
Let's talking about Main Street. Let's go visit Main Street.
Let's
here
do
in
it.
Excelsior. We're going to be.
This is lovely.
Isn't it great?
Yes.
So this is Excelsior. So Lake Minnetonka, which is the lake on which Excelsior sits, back in the late 19th century was one of the primary resort destinations for Eastern Seaboard folks to come west. Take trains to St. Paul or Minneapolis, then take a streetcar to the lake, then take a little steamboat to a massive hotel and spend their summers here.
Oh, awesome.
So it's got all these charming
awesome
lakeside towns, yeah. And
what does Excelsior mean?
So I think Excelsior means like something about the best. So excel, the root excel is the best, and I think it's kind of it means elevated or
rising to the top.
Rising to the top. That's what we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with rising to the top. You know what? There's the Chamber of Commerce. We should go ask them. I guarantee you.
Should we?
This will be like Jay Leno, asking questions of random people in the street.
Oh, I think
one person.
I bet we can. It does mean something like that, though.
It definitely means, like the best. I'll tell you another
forever rising. It means forever rising.
Although I got to tell you, I hear from a lot of people. This is much more local issues, but so many people have dogs that they want to bring out now, and we don't have a lot of places that allow them, and they ask a lot about that.
I think your first legislation should be allowing dogs anywhere they want to go. I'll tell you what, you'd build a lot of
cred.
Very strong fan base.
That's why we have Dogs for Dean.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, nice hats.
So got a little of everything.
Yeah, it's very cute.
A couple of my favorite shops are up here.
How are you at going up to strangers and introducing yourself?
Oh, I love it.
Okay, you're good at that.
Yeah. I've been in sales my whole life. I've
Yeah,
had to make a lot of cold calls. So yeah, I love it. And
doesn't bother you.
People know. So what's a Minnesota, antique store without a set of antlers in the front?
Absolutely.
And when you come back in the summer, we're going to put you on a pair of those.
Oh my God.
You ever water ski?
I have, and I'm not good at it.
Oh, we'll have to work on that.
I know. It's like, I don't know why I'm so bad at it, but I am. I've actually water skied once in my life. I was a lot younger. I was probably in my 20s. I just wasn't any good at it.
So there's not a congressional water skiing club?
No.
Not yet.
There is a congressional hockey team, though, by the way.
I know that. I want to replace Eric Paulson on that
yes.
team. In fact, let's go in here. Bill,
okay.
I want to see if Bill's in. Oh, Bill.
How are you?
I'm happy now
Is
that
this
there's air
Bill's
conditioning.
shop?
This is one of the great stores in Minnesota. How are you doing, Phil?
Good, good, good.
Nice
How
to
are
see
you?
you.
Nice to see you.
Congresswoman
Bill.
Cheri Bustos.
How are you?
Pleasure to meet you.
I'm from the
Bill.
state of Illinois.
Well, welcome
Good
to
to meet you, Bill.
Minnesota.
Oh my
welcome
gosh.
to Excelsior, and
It's
most
beautiful.
importantly, welcome to Brightwater. So.
Do you know
Bill-
what Excelsior means, by the way?
You know, I'm going to have to answer no because I could take a stab at it, but it would be probably a fairly uneducated guess.
Okay.
That was pretty much the way I answered it. I thought, well, the root of it is Excel, so it must be something about the best.
Right,
yeah.
it has to.
Goodbye.
Bye, Bill. Thank you.
All right, so let's keep going.
He was awesome.
He's outstanding.
You know, I said to my husband the other day, and I think this is horrible that I even had to ask this question, but I said, do you think we as a nation can do big things again?
Oh, I love that question, yeah.
And under the current environment, it is really difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again, you
Takes
know,
a shift.
Why do I want to make sure that we're electing good people who are independent thinkers? Because we can start thinking big again and start executing on that.
Yeah.
You know, with your business background and starting things from scratch.
And having to work with people to do so. You know, this notion, I'm always troubled when people think they did it all themselves. You know, it always takes collaboration and some dissent to come up with great ideas and great execution. So I relish that notion. Here, well, let's pop into Gray here.
Okay, what's gray?
Gray is a great little home store.
Okay.
Gray Gardens, you ever see the movie Gray Gardens?
Yes.
Yeah. Not to be confused.
Okay.
So they've got a little baby business. Pip and Pal.
Cute.
And yeah, and there's Dee Dee.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, Dee Dee. Second. We're for part of our little. So we're filming a little something. Can we ask you one question? It's just fun.
Oh gosh.
It's not a gotcha, but we're asking everybody this because it's kind of funny how nobody really knows, including me. No, it's just fun. No. No, come on.
Good PR for Gray.
Yeah.
Is this jaywalking?
No.
No.
We're just
Here, go ahead.
Come on over. Your letter carrier's bringing a lot of boxes today.
All right, so we have Dee Dee Lappin with us, the proprietor of Gray, and we're asking everybody the same very, very important question. What is the meaning of Excelsior?
Oh gosh, I did know this. It's something like excellent or.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Do you know it? You
No, we
looked it
think
up?
no, I haven't. We think it's something to do with excellence, like rising.
It's always rising.
Yeah.
It's like always moving ahead.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like
You passed.
Yay!
Woohoo!
you're a small business owner on the rise.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And a congressman on the rise.
Oh, boom! You rock.
Yeah,
Bye.
you too.
Nice to see you.
You too.
All right, that was the hard question of the day,
Bye, Dee Dee.
and Dee Dee passed.
You did great. See you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
So we just wrapped up a nice little visit through Excelsior, visiting some small business owners and learning a few things along the way. And it was a beautiful day.
Oh my, great downtown. Do you call it a downtown?
Yeah, it's a kind of like a village town.
I mean,
Yeah,
just really nice people. You're going to be representing some nice people when you get to Congress.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out
Yeah,
with us.
it was
I don't know about you, but I'm a little hungry. Should we get something to eat?
Starved.
Let's do it.
I'm always starved.
Me too. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.